much you were not interested in doing this, and then you actually commented on yourself saying, wow, I sound like a really...
I am remembering now why I didn't want to go to this.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 4 of the Autopod Decepticast, where we break down the 1986 Transformers movie minute by minute. This is minute 3 to 4. Basically, this is the credit sequence. Lion, rockin' hard.
Yeah,
which,
out.
having just listened to that theme, the previous episode, we talked a little bit about my disdain for that style of music,
Metal,
but that
like
was
hard rock
really
metal.
well produced.
Yeah, and after
honestly, I mean,
listening to
for
it a
what
few
it is,
times,
it's pretty tight.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, I mean, they did a great job. And, you know, I think maybe just for nostalgia purposes, I think I like the credit sequences as they appear in the episodes better. I like that whole...
Sure.
Right.
But, I mean, that was badass.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
And and all the... Okay, so that flying through the O, actually, and this doesn't make much sense, but reminds me of the old HBO intro. Do you guys remember when you'd fly through the HBO thing?
Very good.
Oh, that was great, guys.
So we zoom in on the Transformers logo, and then they do the reveal of the movie.
Right.
And then you fly through the O, much like you would fly in the Unicron's mouth.
Much like the planet of Lethone or
So
Lithone.
you're flying into the O.
Lithone.
I will say that the animated sequence, once you fly into that O, and there's all those colors that you're zooming through, very impressive animation, almost a direct ripoff of a sequence in 2001: Space Odyssey.
I'm sure that was the inspiration.
Yeah.
Had to be.
The most boring movie ever made.
No, that is a.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
Yeah, don't.
Well,
I
next,
was like, yeah, I think you're right, but I've never seen
It's the same kind of like Star Trek, the first Star Trek movie thing, where it's like, oh, we're developing all these new techniques. It's spaceship porn. It's just all ships,
It's beautiful.
all the time, years between dialogue.
Okay.
It's cripplingly boring.
well, let's talk about 2001: Space Odyssey on the Transformers podcast here a little bit more.
To me, when we went through the O, in my head went a little
Sorry.
like Vegas, that light show, the Viva Vision light show in old Vegas at the Strip.
Fremont Street.
Fremont Street.
Fremont Street, yeah.
Does anybody know? Did anybody do the research or just know? Was that computer animated or hand animated?
No. Much as we probably should have done our homework on
I
that.
did not look that up.
No. We suck.
That's for follow-up.
I'm going to say
I will say it's not
hand-animated.
computer animated. I will
You don't
say
think so?
No. I will say
The credits coming onto the screen
Computer-
certainly was done with computer...
like a video toaster, maybe.
The vid toast.
But I will say that,
Anybody remember that?
okay, so we need to figure out what kind of animation that is.
All right, well, we can dive into that. So, okay.
Or never talk about
No,
it.
we are.
Who gives a shit?
I'm writing down follow-up O animation.
I'm writing
Which
down...
is a ripoff of 2001: Space Odyssey.
I'm writing down talk more shit about 2001.
Yeah.
Eric Idle got top billing.
Yes.
So weird.
He's barely in the movie, as we know, and the listeners surely know. Hopefully that's not a spoiler. As Wreck-Gar. As it says on screen.
You talk some TV, I talk some TV.
So
got
that
that
was
one.
interesting. I mean, I'm looking at this. Judd Nelson at the time was probably more famous than Eric Idle. In fact,
To the kids.
I mean, Orson, I'm surprised. Why didn't they give Orson Welles top billing?
I know. That's also, it's his last movie, and he did not care for this movie. Like, the interviews of him, like, he says things like, you know what, I'll just look it up. But I was going to ask you guys, did you know who these people were when you saw this movie as a kid?
I think, at the time I probably knew John Mochita was the Micro Machines guy.
Yeah. That's
I probably recognized Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries, and of course most of older America boomers would recognize him as Elliot Ness. But so back to Eric Idle, I do have a quote here from Eric Idle in reference to this movie. He said, Transformers the movie was a fabulous gig where they flew me on the Concorde to New York for a day's tape recording and then flew me back. It was horrible whilst I was there in the recording because I didn't understand a word of what was going on. Lines like itching a goggle gubluga, and they'd say no, the emphasis is on itching, and I'd be like, what the hell are they talking about? Laughs. He's never seen the movie. He says he makes a practice of not watching himself because he knows he'd be disappointed. So a paycheck for him, but a pleasant quote nonetheless. Nice that he didn't just
shit on it
like others. I didn't discover Eric Idle as a performer until I was in high school. Probably my freshman year of high school is
getting into Monty Python.
When I discovered Monty Python, and then just. Of course, I was still a fan of the movie, even though I was years older. But you connect the dots later, obviously.
I don't know. Oh, this is the thing about anytime I try to remember something from my childhood, I can never remember anything. Everything seems to be like I was 10 years old. But I don't remember if I'm misremembering that I knew all these guys or
I didn't care.
I feel like I did.
I didn't.
Especially,
I just wanted to see the action.
And I think maybe I knew. I mean, obviously, I knew Leonard Nimoy because of Star Trek. I mean, I loved Star Trek.
Yeah.
And then I knew Judd Nelson because the Breakfast Club was on like every other day on TV.
Well, so let's get into that. Why did he not get top billing?
Yeah, I mean,
he was like
lead.
the hot star.
Well, that and he's also the lead of the movie.
Well, you're asking.
And he's the lead of the movie.
You're asking that question, but unfortunately, I don't think that we can provide an answer.
Oh, I'm just I was speculation is fun conversation.
I know that Judd Nelson and Eric Idle have a strange connection. So Judd Nelson was Nelson.
How do you know? Sorry.
All right. So, I'm sure all of our listeners are familiar with the television show Suddenly Susan with Brooke Shields.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Everybody remembers that.
Well, her boss was Judd Nelson. Mm-hmm. When he left the show, guess who they replaced him with?
Eric Idle.
Eric Idle!
That's good trivia.
What?
Good trivia.
What?
He also, another interesting tidbit is that there's been several television continuities, among them Transformers Animated, which is one that I haven't watched yet and I would love to because I feel like it's certainly in the spirit of an homage to the original series and I just like the style of the design of the characters they did. But Hot Rod is a character on that, and Judd Nelson voiced Hot Rod for that show.
Oh, so he did come in for the series.
For the series called Transformers Animated, not for
G1.
the Transformers. Yeah, a different guy did Rodimus. That guy actually just passed away. R.I.P.
He bought it. So Judd Nelson had been knocked down a peg, so he was willing.
He's like, I need some money. That is one thing I.
Now Judd Nelson's not coming on the program.
Mr. Nelson,
thank you very much for ruining that. Did you know that the character of Nelson Muntz on The Simpsons was named Nelson as he was inspired in an homage to the character John Bender in The Breakfast Club?
I did not know that, but that makes sense now with the
ripped off,
with the jean jacket vest.
Jacket is wow.
Interesting.
You have blown my mind.
Trivia King. Anything else on Judd Nelson you'd like to cover?
I would just quickly say that we were making fun of him earlier, but you guys should consider watching a movie called The Black Hole that he made in 2006. It takes place in St. Louis, which is where I used to live. The premise being that he runs a particle accelerator facility in St. Louis and triggers a black hole, and a creature exits the hole and seeks out energy, and as it absorbs energy, the black hole grows in size and destroys a large part of St. Louis.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, I was making fun of him, but I really do like Judd Nelson.
You should watch this movie.
He is a friend of the community. He does attend conventions. I have You can see him speak at some of the conventions.
BotCon.
At the BotCons and the TF cons
Impressive
and all that.
nostrils.
So very impressive. I mean, I'm a fan of his nostrils. I have very similar nostrils. So
Nostrils you could sell advertising in.
Also, the movie New Jack City, one of my favorites that he's in. That's kind of like a rough and rugged Judd Nelson. He's partnered with Ice-T to bring down Nino Brown.
Yeah, he calls him a biscuit head. Ice-T calls Judd Nelson a biscuit head.
Yo, Biscuit Head.
It's been
That's a terrible
Yeah, he
place.
gets paired with him. He goes, "What do I?" Like something like, "Oh, hey, what do I gotta be paired with this biscuit head?"
I don't like this. I don't like this guy. I don't like this Judd Nelson.
Biscuit Head.
He's just saying he's not even on script. This is in the
Pretty good
movie.
Ice-T impression.
The
Which is
longer I do it,
weird
the worse
because
it
his
gets.
character in the Black Hole movie is Professor Biscuit Head.
Are you serious?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, okay. You delivered it so straight. I was like, all right, I'm the fool.
Okay.
So
After Judd Nelson, the next big name that comes on the screen. By the way, hang on, we never introduced ourselves.
If you're just jumping into episode 4, I don't know why you do that, but
I'm Aaron.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Biscuit Head.
The next name up on the screen is Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, I thought that was I think the main one that I knew whenever this movie came out. That Leonard Nimoy, I was like, oh wow, so he's famous. Like I was impressed by that. Him being Galvatron, I think he does a pretty good Galvatron.
I liked him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some notes, like he's actually an inspiration in the Transformers community before his involvement in it, because the character of Shockwave was inspired by Spock, the writer Bob. I can't do names. Bob Budiansky. Who
Yeah, Bob
Budiansky. Did the early Marvel comics.
You're not even gonna let me do it. All right.
We'll try not to.
Speak.
No, I refuse.
Anyway, he stated, he's on the record as saying that Shockwave was his attempt to take Spock and turn him into a
That
Decepticon.
makes sense. Yeah, I can see that totally.
Yeah.
Shockwave is one of my favorite characters.
Oh, Shockwave even has like Vulcan ears.
Oh. And one eye? Wait.
Well,
To be fair, that toy's over on the other shelf.
Oh.
That toy existed way before the personality did.
Oh,
but,
that's true. It was a ripoff, wasn't it?
But
Shockwave existed before.
no, I mean the
the
toys
Vulcan-
existed before they had any personality. Like Shockwave the toy probably existed 2 years before he was given
I see. So they didn't.
a profile. In the the
Well,
fans will
one-
correct us. He was either Diaclone or I don't know what the other. I can't remember the other.
So
line
you're
that
saying
came
the
together.
design, the ears existed before they had an
Right?
association
Correct.
with Nimoy.
With Spock. Correct.
One
Alright.
of the
Well,
one of
something's
the
pretty
good
cool.
early,
But I like the connection anyway.
Yeah.
one of the good early toys. Like a lot of the
Right.
early toys are
Shockwave's,
terrible.
Shockwave's my favorite.
Yeah, he was great.
Stands out.
Optimus Prime and Ironhide in particular.
I feel
was
sorry
the
for
worst.
Shockwave because in the animated series, like, all right, he's like, goodbye, Megatron, and they fly to Earth, and millions of years go by, and then Megatron checks in with Cybertron, and Shockwave's still standing there at the computer, like,
He hasn't
oh,
moved.
hello again, Megatron.
I would have loved it if there were just cobwebs all over him. And he
Oh,
was
it's like, oh my god, like he was just hanging out ready to receive a
I never thought
response
about
back
that.
for millions. I would have like moved on.
that
But
was
that's Shockwave.
And
I
this
guess.
is going to be a little digression, but that it was something that's interesting. We were talking about like you said, the steampunk Transformers. What is that? Hearts of Fire.
Hearts of Steel.
Yeah, Hearts of Fire doesn't make any sense. Sounds like a romantic comedy. But the Beast Wars series, which actually is far, I think, as far as the writing, is far superior to the G1 series. Like it's
Not hard to do.
yeah, it's not good. But it's interesting because in season 2 they tie that in because the Beast Wars they crash on Earth after the original Transformers crashed on Earth. And but it's before humans have evolved still. So, and then eventually they do find spoilers. They do find the original G1 Transformers in one of the season 2 episodes, and it was just I just found it interesting because they're ancestors of the Transformers, but
Right.
anyway.
No, I'm with
That's
you.
I found
I'm with you. I love it.
so they evolved, but that's weird because that literally means Shockwave still existed but wasn't evolved.
The beast. Where have all the beast transformers gone?
It's an excellent
there
Shockwave.
was an Optimus Prime beast and a Megatron beast. and I was working with them the other day, and now they're gone too. Where have they gone?
I'm so alone.
I wonder if there's any chance they're in the same place as the other Transformers.
Seems coincidental.
that disappeared millions of years ago.
I don't remember what Soundwave sounds like. Or Shockwave.
I feel like he's vaguely British.
I really
This is our only opportunity to really talk to him because he doesn't have a starring role in the movie.
He's in one scene.
He's in one scene in the movie.
Technically two. I never noticed before, and I should probably save it for the next minute because I think it's in the next minute. But there's a part where they're like, let's just save it for the next minute.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just go.
Just summarize it.
Yeah, just do it.
There's the part at the very beginning where Ironhide's looking at all these monitors, and there's a couple screens, and there's one screen of Shockwave just standing in a window looking out,
Waiting,
and then
waiting.
he's
He's always having him waiting.
every time I look into a monitor, Prime.
My circuit sizzle.
Leonard Nimoy. So here's a couple more interesting factoids. So he was Galvatron in this movie. He was in one of the Michael Bay Transformers movies as a character called Sentinel Prime, who doesn't really play out much in the G1 world, but in modern day Transformers storytelling, he is a significant character. But he voiced that character, and Leonard Nimoy, Michael Bay rather, is Leonard Nimoy's wife's first cousin. So Michael Bay wanted him to participate from the very beginning, but was apparently afraid to call him and ask him to participate. I don't know. I think there may be budgetary concerns or something, but here's the deal. Leonard Nimoy is a consummate professional, and he is, so he's known for, at least in terms of this recording process, people talk about how before he would come out to record, he would do vocal scales in the bathroom for 20 minutes before coming out to the booth and kicking it off.
Wow.
Which is something I would like to hear recorded. Leonard Nimoy's vocal scales.
I mean, he has released musical albums.
He's got a great voice.
He has an old music video.
Anybody who's even mildly interested in Leonard Nimoy, watch, and it's all up on YouTube, and no one is interested in taking it down, In Search Of, which is
I never did watch
Did you not watch it? It was hosted by Leonard Nimoy, and it was a 70s, early 80s series about just weird stuff. And it was like they did Bigfoot, they did UFOs, and it is like, for me, I'm 40 years old, and so it's a huge amount of nostalgia. It's all bullshit. None of it's real. I mean, we've all, like, a lot of it's been debunked now, but it's like, just watching the episodes are amazing. Anyway, I can't do a Leonard Nimoy impression, so that's why I'm not going into that.
Sure. Well, I did some research into where did this participation in this movie fit in with his filming of the different Star Trek movies, and they came out with The Voyage Home in like 86 as well. So
is that the fourth one?
Yes, it is.
That's a good one. The Whales.
Yeah. So he was having a good year. That was a real popular one.
Couple of paychecks.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with like Eric Idle,
mean,
though. And I think that's why a lot of these actors are so eager to do a lot of these animated movies, especially now with like Pixar and stuff. It's easy money.
Sure. Well, this was among the
returns
first
are awesome.
animated movies to actually bring some brand
and
talent to the screen.
A lot of research on that when celebrity voices started being in movies, and it's kind of been forever, because like Charlotte's Web had Debbie Reynolds and a couple other people. The Rescuers had
Bob Newhart.
Yep. So it's kind of, but this one, we're getting into the time of like when this started happening heavily, and like it really exploded completely with Aladdin. With Robin Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, because and it kind of, at the time it was novel and neat, but it's devolved to the point where it's like, because it was definitely Robin Williams as a genie, he's not doing a character, a lot of winking at the camera.
It's obviously Robin Williams.
Yeah, and so that's what it's devolved to, like to the point where like the characters in the movie resemble the celebrity, like Jerry Seinfeld in A Bee's Life.
They're writing They're writing the character in a sense where their personality
is actually letting the actor develop the character.
Yeah,
when you've got people like that who are so talented. I mean, to be fair, and all these actors did a great job
Yes,
with their
I think
roles.
I think
but
they did.
anybody could have been these characters,
Yes.
and that's proven out by the fact that anybody was when the budget was dropped and they had to continue
And
the
in the
characters on
series.
in television. With the exception of John Mochita, he and honestly, it proves your point. Like, his talent is so specific
Yep.
that
I talk real fast.
and also his brand is was not at the time and as premium as some of these other people.
this
And
was
so he
big.
could afford to do the television show. That was a good steady gig for him.
And it's like, so it's purely a cash grab. It's going to put butts in seats to have celebrities attached to it, which, I mean, and sometimes it's fine. Like, they're fine. But there's no way that any mainstream actor is better at voice work than someone who just does voice work. So it's like, I feel bad that it's taking jobs away from vocal actors, you know?
Yeah.
So the next name, who'd have thought? We're at the 32-minute mark. Go ahead.
doing
I
good.
just wanted to real quick. I mean, I guess I could have done this after. But specifically, whenever I looked up when voices started being part of movies, all the articles I looked up mentioned Frank Welker and Peter Cullen specifically. And like Frank Welker, I mean, if you look up, go to YouTube and look up the many faces of Frank Welker. He does 80 plus characters in like 11 minutes. It's amazing, like the number of voices this guy has done. His like IMDb is huge. But here are the Transformers that Frank Welker does. He does Megatron, Galvatron, Skywarp, Soundwave, Mixmaster, Laserbeak, Buzzsaw, Rumble, Frenzy, Ravage, Rapat. He does Mirage, Trailblazer, Sludge, Wheelie in the movie, and I assume he does it in the cartoon as well. Chrome Dome and Pinpointer. That's so,
Yeah.
and I mean, he's the guy.
amazing.
He does Fred on Scooby Doo. He did Jabberjaw, Garfield, Ray in the Real Ghostbusters, Dr. Claw, Kermit and Muppet Babies. He's all over the place.
So it's like, let's get Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc's unavailable. Okay, Peter Weller.
Frank Welker.
Oh,
who's
whoever-
Peter Welker?
whatever his
He's the
name
guy
is.
who takes out my trash.
Yeah, he's definitely a god among
yeah.
the fan community. Him showing up at a con is
And once again,
big
I've
deal.
insulted him as well. Like,
Oh, that'd be a pretty
I've
big
just
get.
called him a broke dick Mel Blanc.
And he's also.
I didn't even get his first name right.
It must be so annoying.
Tell Jack Walker to come in here.
When we get famous and start doing panels, these people are gonna hate my ass. I love you.
Or they'll love you.
Yeah, oh man, yeah, and he seems very willing. It must be, if you're a very well-known voice actor, so annoying for people to like do it, do Megatron, do the Megatron voice,
I'd give him a random like, do
Wheelie.
wheel. No, Wheelie say, hey, okay. No, I'd say, hey, come on, give me some Laserbeak.
So, and
Oh, yeah.
interestingly enough, I mean, as important as Frank Welker is to the Transformers animated franchise, he's not any billing in this credit sequence whatsoever. You don't see his name until
Or
the end
Peter
of the
Cullen.
movie. Or Peter Cullen, for that matter. But next on the list is a big one, though I don't have many notes on him, Robert Stack.
Yeah, Unsolved Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries, certainly that's what I knew him for. His voice is so creepy, but he's also seemed warm and
Avuncular.
right.
Yeah, it's like your neighborhood. He was like an investigator. It's like
Elliot Ness.
God, also he wore a trench coat. Maybe he was a creep.
Are you saying
he's like a private.
It's like a
dick.
touchy.
he wasn't wearing clothes on?
Maybe just a.
He like and cut.
I've got an unsolved mystery for you.
The mystery is how long you gonna touch my dick.
Yeah, we're cutting that out.
Are we?
Mr. Stack, I mean, we love your energy. We love your voice. You gotta stop touching kids.
And the legacy of Robert Stack has now been sullied completely.
Is he dead?
I think he's dead.
Okay, good.
I'm positive he's good. Good.
Oh, thank goodness.
So I do have some information about Robert Stack in relation to the movie, in that he reportedly enjoyed the role. And this was the first time this is pre-Unsolved Mysteries that he did this movie. So he hadn't done any voiceover work at the time.
He's great. Like, he really is good.
And he was very self-conscious about it. I mean, you had some of like the Welkers and the people in the room that were kind of encouraging him and being like, "No, you're doing great." The director, of course, is awestruck to have this icon of the screen in front of him, and was kind of a mess about it. But he figured it out. He did a great job. I think he really defined the role of Ultra Magnus,
Yeah,
which
I mean,
is kind of
he
this
crushed.
reluctant leader, and he did great.
Like, yeah, in the scripts, Ultra Magnus is described as, a stoic, like, soldier kind of guy. And I think, like, what Robert Stack brought to the role, it's perfect, like, for what the description was supposed to be. And some of the, for a non-vocal actor, some of the best readings, I think, in the movie. But surely he didn't do the show, right?
No, he didn't. It's a different guy, and that guy did a great job as well. Honestly, I need to go back and watch him. It's been a while, but I'm one of those people that loves season 3 almost more than the first 2 seasons, just because it's so weird.
Yeah,
and there's a dynamic between I'm totally going on a tangent, but between Rodimus Prime and Ultra Magnus, that's very like Ultra Magnus kind of is the leader. Even in the show, Rodimus Prime isn't like just immediately this stoic, respectable leader. Like he's fucking up all over the place and being a sarcastic. He's kind of a sarcastic asshole.
he's not great.
And Ultra Magnus is like, well, Rodimus, maybe you should do this. And Rodimus Prime, the leader, is like, well, all right.
Rodimus Prime is the Donald Trump of Autobot leaders.
He might be.
He's tweeting shit all the time. I do like in one of the episodes that is my favorite, and I think it's the Rage Virus one, where he is talking to a statue of Optimus Prime, doubting himself, saying like, I don't know, would you have handled it like this, Optimus? I don't know if I'm the leader that you would have been, obviously.
You're right, I'm coming back.
Yeah, I need to take this back
Matrix.
over because you are terrible at your job.
Any other notes on Robert Stack? Because we're about to get on to maybe my personal favorite.
Maybe mine too.
This is a big one.
No,
Well,
wrong,
not
Caleb.
for anybody else.
Oh, wait.
Because we're not at Orson Welles yet. We're at Lionel Stander.
Right.
Actually,
Lionel?
I learned more about him doing the research for this than I ever knew.
Awesome.
Outside of this, but he was a famous. He was film and radio guy. He was a contract player for Columbia as early as 1935. He was a strong liberal, pro-labor activist, founding member of the Screen Actors Guild. He was tied into the whole House Un-American Activities Committee. Many believed he was a communist. And
Some kind of pinko.
Yeah. So his film work eventually tapered off, but then he really blew up when he made a career comeback through the show Heart to Heart as the character Max. So that's all stuff I didn't know because I didn't watch any of those shows or I wasn't around then, so that doesn't have much context for me. But we the main context for me is this movie and then his strange cameo appearance on one of my favorite shows, Moonlighting.
Blue Moon Detective Agency.
And that was the line. That's all he said. That's it. I think that he walked out and cashed his check.
Yeah, so that is weird that, like, I mean, I loved Moonlighting as well. But I definitely knew him from his voice is very distinctive, so I knew him from the movie. I didn't know his name until seeing that Moonlighting and looking it up. But I don't know why it captures my imagination so much for Lionel Stander, but he's my favorite.
I remember watching Moonlighting, seeing that scene where he comes in and is like, Blue Moon Detective Agency, and I was like, where do I know that voice? Where do I know that voice? I watched the credits, I saw Lionel Stander, and then my brain connected to Transformers the movie, this credit sequence, and I was like, okay.
He's Cop.
He's Cop. Okay. Anything else on Lionel Stander?
I mean, no.
Can we sum up the career of
Orson
a
Welles?
guy that's had that much play in the world? And okay,
And we
let's
know
move
him
on.
for two things.
Mr. Stander, we respect you. And
Come on the show.
I hope you're resting in
he
peace.
must have passed.
Gosh, a very large percentage of these people have passed, actually, as we get through it.
Well,
Lionel
most
Stander,
made-
Orson Welles, Robert Stack, Leonard Nimoy. Eric Idle's next, guys.
It was made 30 years ago.
Judd Nelson's had one foot in the grave for a while.
Orson Welles, guys. That was the biggest,
the heavy
arguably
hitter.
the biggest name
Yeah.
in the movie as Unicron. What do you know about this?
Well, he had an amazing career.
Yeah.
Did he?
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
He's been a dick.
Known for one of the best movies ever made.
I mean, can we agree to just take it off the top 10 list because it's always number one? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Citizen Kane, obviously.
However, by this point, he had been trying to self-finance his own movies for the past 20 years. He was an eccentric person, to say the very least, and basically by the 70s and 80s, he was self-financing. He actually got some financial backing from Iran for a movie for the same movie. He was trying to film a movie, and I wish I remember the name, but from 1971 to 76, he was working on a movie where he was basically driving around without the consent of the unions and filming a movie essentially out of the backseat of a car. And
he didn't give a shit.
The movie was called
getting
Backseat.
funding from Iran. That fell through when the Shah was deposed. He was reduced to doing Carlo Rossi commercials and talk shows. And Carlo Rossi's a real cheap ass wine. And now we're not going to get that Rossi sponsorship.
Oh shit! You're really dumping all of our.
But that so much to say,
grabs.
he's got a fascinating life. Me included should try to read his biography.
Yeah,
Everyone should.
Magnificent Ambersons, I think, was another one of his
Yeah,
that was very popular. It
he
was
was-
a real peak. Oh, he did War of the Worlds. Obviously.
Yeah, he was a genius. He was a genius. But just as a lot of these geniuses, things kind of got weird later on in his life, misunderstood, and he didn't play by the rules of Hollywood, and there was consequences to that.
Being an independent filmmaker back then was very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Unless you want to make B movies like Roger Corman.
So by this point, Transformers is known for being the last
Yes,
thing
it was
he
the last
ever
thing he did before he died.
There was
in addition to Scatman Carruthers.
Yeah, Scatman Carruthers was in Transformers.
He was jazz.
He was on the show, yeah.
Far out.
Wasn't the last
No
thing he ever
Decepticon
did?
shenanigans in your area? It feels weird. It feels real weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, Orson Welles.
So Orson Welles, this was the exclamation point on the end of a very amazing life.
It really went from high and just
yeah.
steadily down.
He had a heart attack and died before the movie came out. He died in '85. I should have checked to see how
old
long
he was. Oh,
he was 70 years old.
Okay.
I should check to see how soon he died after recording this.
it was in the studio.
Mr. Wells?
Oh no! Roll him out the
Wells?
door. Roll him out.
So yeah, I mean, he's probably. As far as history is concerned, he's probably the biggest person.
As far as impact, and well, I mean, Leonard Nimoy.
And so it's interesting that he was very interesting. He was in this movie. I recommend people study his life because I mean,
It's fascinating
He
and
was a pioneer.
cripplingly sad.
yeah, he was a pioneer in movie making special effects, and I think that probably without him, who knows what even like this movie? Who knows what Hollywood would be without Orson Welles?
Yeah.
So that's Orson Welles. You were talking about Moonlighting. His last television appearance was on Moonlighting.
He was on Moonlighting? I
Yes,
don't
his
remember
last
that.
television appearance was on Moonlighting.
As a big fat?
Oh, I don't think you could rap that. I don't think you could get him, rapping the
What? Spanx?
what?
What are we talking about?
It's like to give him that's not a cummerbund, but like to kind of make him look skinnier than he really is.
Yeah,
Like rap
a girdle.
Yes.
Oh, he did
That's
it.
what Spanx are.
Okay, here,
okay.
check this out, guys. We're watching the Moonlighting appearance of Orson Welles, which is on YouTube.
Good evening. I'm Orson Welles. Tonight, broadcasting takes a giant leap backward. In this age of living color and stereophonic sound, the television show Moonlighting is daring to be different and share with you a monochromatic, monophonic hour of entertainment. Approximately 12 minutes into this evening's episode, the picture on your television screen will change to black and white. Nothing is wrong with your set. I repeat, nothing is wrong with your set. Tonight's episode is an experiment, one we hope you'll enjoy, so gather the kids, the dog, grandma, and lock them in another room. Then sit back and enjoy this very special episode of moonlighting.
Yeah, man, you know what? He 100% just came in, sat down, did that in one take, and he's like, I'm out. He's so obviously reading off cue cards.
So, it's reported that Orson Welles told the director of Transformers the movie, Nelson Shin, I will give you 3 takes of every line. You won't direct me, and we'll move on.
Holy shit, what an asshole.
Well, that's...
I mean...
But, I mean, he's put in his time.
He has. He's paid his dues.
He's paid his dues
I
big
guess that's
time.
true. He is a good actor and director, so why would he
And
take...
a great voice.
And I think
Excellent point.
you would say that at this point, they knew what they were getting into when they
Sure.
asked him.
Probably,
But,
yeah.
yeah, that's true. Why would you direct Orson Welles? It's like, you know, he's been in the business for so long and kind of defined... It, by definition, made the greatest movie ever made. So, I mean, saying it like that is being a dick, but also, like, yeah.
Orson, here's the deal. You're a big planet. Could you just be as strong? And I need you to just...
I'm going to read this label that I found in my pocket, and you.
Well, there's a script.
No, I've set it on fire, and I'm leaving. I'm leaving for the day. I have to go eat 7 chickens.
Apparently, there was a restaurant in Hollywood where he would sit and just
Eat all of the food.
Eat all of the food.
Bring me one of everything. I have to do some bullshit called moonlighting later, and I'm famished.
I wonder if he ever wondered if he wished that they could just bring the recording equipment into the restaurant.
Oh my god, that would just hear him chewing in between.
So maybe that's
that's
maybe
the chomp.
That's
the chomp. When Unicron chomps it.
He was eating a chicken and they just captured it. So we all know that this was his final big screen role. Another quote of his is that he's quoted as saying, "I play a planet. I menace somebody called..." You know what? I'm starting over because I'm going to try and do it in my best Orson Welles voice.
Okay, an actor prepares.
I need to do my vocal scales.
Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow.
So another quote of Orson Welles is that he essentially said, "I play a planet. I menace somebody called something or other. Then I'm destroyed."
That was the quote I was trying to find earlier, so I just should have waited.
Sorry.
No, you're right. That was good.
I couldn't. So he died. Oh, actually, to answer your question earlier, Caleb, he died just 5 days after completing his vocal session with Transformers.
That is, I don't know. That's
5 days. His
That's
voice, and honestly, I mean, it's hard to tell it's him in the movie. I mean, if
so
you know, you can connect the dots. But his performance was very heavily synthesized because he was having very difficult breathing.
Because he was having heart attacks.
He was trying to recover from that moonlighting monologue. He did like 3 monologue.
Oh, it was upwards of 3
He
minutes.
did like 3 days earlier. What a week! Here's him looking at his schedule for the week. Moonlighting monologue.
Something for
Some
wine.
Planet voiceover.
And then heart attack. All right.
Yep, restaurant eating.
And and then I'll be dead.
Well, we just talked about a week in the life of Orson Welles.
That's crazy.
Moonlighting monologue, Transformers voiceover, death. This man won an Academy Award in 1941 for probably one of the best movies ever made.
I think we can omit the qualifier probably.
The best movie ever made.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, just the voice. I mean, War of the Worlds is how I was introduced to Orson Welles.
Yes.
And of course, when I first heard that, I still had no idea who he was. I knew he was connected to it, and I think there was some confusion in my head over Orson Welles and H.G. Wells. But like the way he interpreted that, I mean, his version of War of the Worlds is iconic aside from the story because he's not really doing the book. He's doing like this take on it that is
it's almost
so
like an
amazing.
Andy Kaufman performance art sort of thing. And as a side note on War of the Worlds, they have redone that in other countries and stuff, like not that broadcast, but recreated it. And every time people panic and kill things, and I'm like, stop doing this. It's never good.
It scared the hell out of
People shooting at water towers.
I think there's a Radio Lab episode dedicated to that exact topic, how War of the Worlds, when adapted to other cultures and languages, affected them all the exact same way.
Yeah, heck, guess what? Panic through the streets.
Well, there's one final name, and we've got an hour-long episode.
I know, but this has been good.
There's one final name to touch on. who got final billing, I guess, John Mochita, and he got his credit is co-starring.
Really?
John Mochita.
There was a qualifier
But
before
he
it?
probably, I don't know,
another-
he probably had more lines than, well, certainly Orson Welles, and probably Eric Idle, but he got a co-star credit. I don't know what that means, but of course we know John Mochita, FedEx commercials, Micro Machine commerals.
It means he was paid
Hollywood
less.
Squares.
Probably.
Maybe so, yeah, maybe so. But
Yeah, I know him from the Micro Machines, but here, I'm going to play a real quick, this is a minute FedEx commercial.
Okay, units, travel plans. I need to be in New York on Monday, LA on Tuesday, New York on Wednesday, LA on Thursday, New York on Friday. Got it? Got it. So you want to work here. What really makes you think you deserve a job here?
Well, sir, I think on my feet I'm good at figures and I have a sharp mind.
Excellent. Can you start on Monday?
Yes, sir, absolutely, without hesitation.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
There's a lot of them, but you get the idea. That's all of them, I think, in a supercut. But yeah, he became he had a very specific skill.
So he was the only credited actor to continue the role after the movie. So he took over on the television show, but he didn't really exactly know what he was getting to. Probably like most of the actors, he went on a press tour with Robert Stack. They were told by Sunbow to promote the film as a family-friendly film. So
No, it was not.
They would go on press tour, and so when they finally saw the film. They were shocked at on-screen violence and their involvement in promoting this quote family film.
Like, imagine if these were people and these deaths happened to human beings. Like,
Right.
they're horrific.
No, that goes back to my comments on like one of the first couple of episodes that we did. Like, you couldn't have got away with this if they were killing human beings.
No.
They're killing robots, and that's also why I think the Lithonians, they decided to make it wasn't quite clear with the Lithonians if they are robot or not. Maybe they are. Maybe that is clear.
Wait, it's pretty clear.
They're constructed at a 90-degree angle, so yeah, I suppose you're right. But,
and they glow.
So they're not going to kill off something that's,
You know what's interesting, and this is
organic
another point of like the original scripts. In a lot of the original scripts, Lithone is within sight of Cybertron, like literally from the point where and Earth, like literally from the point where Lithone is destroyed. The next scene is Unicron turns and you can see Cybertron and its moons, and then from Cybertron, and this is getting into the next couple episodes, but there's some not dialogue, but there's some screen direction that says whenever they launch the shuttle off of Cybertron, you see Earth. Like, you can see, maybe it's just a pinpoint, but that literally means it's in the same solar system.
Right, all of
which
this
is insane.
No. Well, we know.
So that maybe answer your question about are the Transformers and the Lithonians related?
Yeah, and
Perhaps,
another
yeah.
question is like we should not go off on this tangent. But
Sure.
something to pose like, which it never really occurred to me in the animated series, like where is Cybertron in relation to the planet Earth?
I always, because of the intro of the show, I was like, oh, it's right next to Jupiter.
You just always placed it somewhere
Yeah.
in the solar system.
In fact,
How did we never recognize it as a planet then?
well, it's not. I mean,
What do you mean scientifically?
but like Cybertron, I once made a model of the solar system and put Cybertron in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, between.
What a little dork.
I know. I was, well, not popular. Which reminds me too of another thing, and I mean this could fit into any episode, but Aaron, you and I, like we've mentioned before, used to draw Transformers and trade Transformers drawings, and it's kind of how our friendship started. But I thought of this story, which I have no memory of, because again, my childhood is real sketchy. But Caleb, you tell the story about coming up to us when we're drawing at recess. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. So they used to draw outside against the backstop of the kickball, baseball, diamond, and like I'm by no means a normal person, but when I was at recess, I would do some fairly common activities, which is physical activity. And these guys would bring briefcases outside and
That's right.
drawing against the backstop, and I would come up to them because I was friends with these guys. Because I was about to explain why, and I can't.
Nothing comes to mind.
You don't have to justify it.
So anyway, I was friends with him, and I would be like, "Hey guys, want to go play tetherball or stand up and move around?" And they just look at me like dismiss me, and
The way
they
you
were-
told
I don't think that's true.
the looks on your faces, like that you were so
Dismissive?
and just disdainful that I would even ponder the thought of asking you to like interact at recess.
The way you show that sticks in my mind is like we basically were like, ew, no, grosso, go away.
Yeah, that's how I remember.
No way.
I think that you're putting a lot on us.
Well,
I think with it, perhaps that was the impression you got. That was not intended, but
sure.
What a great memory! What a great childhood memory!
It's more fun to talk about it that way. Though.
Sure.
So where are we?
So
Did we get an hour yet?
So
I mean,
we were 1 minute away from hitting an hour.
There was a lot up top.
Well, so really that brings us to a close of this episode with John Mochita at the end of the credits. This listener has been your episode 4. So we'll pick up. There's a few additional credits in the next episode we'll pick up on and ultimately make our way to some Cybertronian moons.
We're gonna start to get into the meat of it. Oh, finally. I was thinking the other day, I was trying to think, I haven't skipped ahead to this, but I'm like, do I remember the opening lines to the movie the Cybertronian moons? And I think I do, so I would like to see if I can get these right. We'll see the next thing if I'm right, but I think
you want to do a test now?
Yep.
All right, let's see.
Okay. It is the year 2005. The treacherous Decepticons have conquered the Autobots' homeworld of Cybertron. But from secret staging grounds on 2 of Cybertron's moons, the valiant Autobots plan to retake their homeworld. That's what I think it is.
I hope it's way off.
Oh, it's like, hey there, the Autobots near me.
I hope it's go away. We're trying to draw here against the backstop.
Well, thank you for listening. Please visit us at our website, the autopoddecepticast.com. Through there, you can link through to our other various social networking endeavors, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. And we'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Yep, see you later.
Bye.